Very sad and unfortunate what has happened to Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham, let's be clear here. Sophie Cunningham was targeted. Let's be very, very clear here.
The play that just occurred.
That's like she tries to slide over right there, and Hartley just kind of falls and makes collision with that lower leg. You see her immediately grab it.
Oh, and Cunningham is down. My goodness.
It began with a sound no basketball fan ever wants to hear, the sharp cry of pain from Sophie Cunningham as she clutched her right knee. The arena fell into stunned silence while the broadcast replays showed the collision again and again. Each angle was more gut-wrenching than the last. Fans watching live weren't just concerned, they were furious. This didn't feel like an isolated accident. It felt like the latest symptom of a larger, festering problem. Cunningham's injury wasn't just a blow to her career, it symbolized growing cracks in a league that promised entertainment but was delivering chaos, danger, and heartbreak. What made the moment even more unbearable was the context. Sophie Cunningham wasn't just another player lost to injury. She had become a vital part of the Indiana Fever's identity. Alongside Caitlin Clark, she helped breathe new life into a fanbase starved for relevance and success. Her presence on the court was fiery, scrappy, fearless. But now, as she lay on the hardwood surrounded by medical staff, all that fire had been replaced by painful uncertainty. The question in the crowd wasn't just, is she okay? It was something darker. Is the WNBA failing to protect its stars? The league, hungry for a bigger spotlight, has found itself mired in a string of injuries, controversies, and violent clashes that increasingly feel more like a demolition derby than professional basketball. For Cunningham, this marked the second time this season her body had been wrecked playing against the same opponent, the Connecticut Sun. The odds of that happening purely by chance felt slim. Fans immediately began connecting dots, pointing fingers, and demanding answers. Was this reckless bad luck, or was something more deliberate lurking beneath the surface of the league's most heated matchups? Replay analysis only made the injury feel more chilling. Cunningham's right foot planted awkwardly, and when Bria Hartley collided with her from the side, the force drove her knee inward, a direction no joint is meant to bend. Analysts broke it down frame by frame, the hyperextension, the inward twist, the unnatural torque. The conclusion was grim. This wasn't a bruise or a stinger. This was structural. This was seasonal. And as the footage spread online, fans didn't just feel sympathy. They felt anger rising like a storm. Because Sophie Cunningham wasn't just another casualty of a rough play. She was the latest victim in what fans are calling a league-wide crisis. Caitlin Clark has endured elbows, blindsides, and endless hard fouls this season. Other stars have walked off the court with bruises and broken spirits. But Cunningham's injury felt heavier. It wasn't just the pain in her scream, it was what it represented. Another Fever player down. Another game ending not in celebration, but in silence and dread. The season feels less like a highlight reel and more like a growing medical report. And then came the whispers. Were these players being targeted? Fans weren't shy about their suspicions. The fact that Cunningham had been injured twice by the same team raised red flags. Many pointed fingers at the Connecticut Sun, accusing them of fostering a reputation for dirty play. Bria Hartley, in particular, found herself at the center of the outrage. Hartley's history didn't help her case. Clips resurfaced online, her pulling Angel McCourtry's hair, getting into repeated clashes with opponents, being ejected from games. Whether deserved or not, her image in the public eye was cemented, reckless, dangerous, dirty. So when her collision with Cunningham unfolded on national TV, fans didn't see an accident. They saw a repeat offender doing what they feared she'd do again. And they were livid. Not everyone was convinced of malicious intent. Some analysts argued the collision looked accidental, the kind of unfortunate play that happens in a fast-paced sport. But for fans watching their favorite players go down game after game, logic took a backseat to emotion. Cunningham's fall felt like the latest betrayal, and Bria Hartley became the face of it. Whether the narrative is fair or not, it's here now. And the question it raises for the league is urgent. How many more screams will echo across arenas before something changes? It was an unfortunate convergence of bad footwork, awkward positioning, and sheer bad luck. But here's the truth: intent doesn't matter when the outcome is the same. Sophie Cunningham's knee still buckled. She still had to be helped off the court. The damage was done, both to her body and to the league's reputation. And for fans, perception is everything. In their eyes, the WNBA isn't protecting its stars, and that perception is rapidly hardening into reality. The fallout didn't stay inside the arena. Within minutes, social media exploded with rage. Words like disgraced, dirty, and unwatchable trended across platforms. Fans dissected the footage in slow motion, highlighted angles, and drew circles around moments that raised suspicion. They demanded suspensions, accountability, and a strong response from the league. But what they got was silence, no statement from officials, no urgent press release, no ruling, just the familiar shrug that has become the WNBA's default response to escalating physicality. And in that silence, the outrage only intensified, reverberating online as a rallying cry for change. Referees didn't escape the backlash either. Fans have had enough of officials handing out technicals for eye rolls, sarcastic claps, and minor gestures while missing the collisions that can end careers. The imbalance is glaring. Quick whistles for attitude, swallowed whistles for violence. When emotions run high, that inconsistency only pours gasoline on an already raging fire. The lack of control turns intense games into chaos. And chaos leads to injuries. Sophie Cunningham's knee is now the most visible evidence in a growing case against officiating that looks more damning with every replay. But perhaps what angered fans the most was the double standard. When Caitlin Clark takes a hard foul, headlines explode, debate segments fill hours of sports television, and social media becomes a war zone. But when Cunningham, another key Fever player, went down, the coverage was muted, the reaction subdued, and the outrage far more restrained. Fans noticed. And they were furious. Because to them, the message was clear: some stars matter more than others. For a league trying to grow, that perception is toxic. It undercuts everything the WNBA is trying to build. The imbalance speaks to something deeper. Caitlin Clark might be the league's golden ticket, the ratings magnet, the national name, but Sophie Cunningham is a fiery competitor, a fan favorite, and a crucial part of the Fever's emotional core. Seeing her injury treated as a footnote only made the moment sting more. This wasn't just about media fairness. It was about the future of the league itself. How can the WNBA thrive if only one player commands the spotlight while others, equally important to their teams and fans, are left in the shadows? That growing resentment among fans, among players, is becoming impossible to ignore. And this is where the WNBA now finds itself, stuck between its ambitions and its reality. On one side, the league wants rivalries, passion, drama. It wants intensity and storylines that captivate audiences. But on the other, it's failing to manage the violence that those rivalries have begun to breed. The Connecticut Sun are now being cast as villains, and for some, that's part of the appeal. Every sport needs a bad guy. But when that villain is seen as injuring stars again and again, the story stops being fun. It turns dark. It turns disturbing. That's the line no league wants to cross. Fans don't buy tickets to watch patchwork rosters limp their way through games. They tune in to see stars shine, not to watch them fall. But that's exactly what the WNBA is serving up right now. Indiana Fever games, once appointment viewing thanks to Clark's superstardom and Cunningham's grit, have become fraught with unease. Every tip-off is followed by a quiet dread: who's going down next? It's no longer about chasing wins. It's about avoiding the next injury. The thrill of the game has been replaced by fear. And survival isn't the product this league promised. The optics are brutal. Indiana was supposed to be the WNBA's crown jewel, a team built for the national stage, destined to fill arenas and drive viewership. Clark's arrival turned the spotlight toward the Fever, and Cunningham balanced that spotlight with hustle and heart. Together, they formed a duo fans could believe in. A team worth rallying behind. But now, what's left? A fractured roster. A list of injuries. A fanbase full of questions. And a league that still hasn't answered them.